I have adopted 6 children, gifted with abilities far beyond the ordinary. I give you the Umbrella Academy.
Welcome to the Binge List. I have a fun review today. I finally got to the end of the Umbrella Academy. I had a lot of work this week, so I kind of got behind, but just saw the last episode yesterday, and I have to say I was impressed. It's a gutsy move because you might be thinking, well, didn't Netflix just lose all their superhero properties because Disney? Well, yes, they did. And Warner Brothers has all the other superhero properties hemmed up. So where could they go from there? And the obvious answer, and it was staring me right in the face, was that they were going to go to some independent comics and, you know, procure the rights to something that probably no one has ever heard of. Because this is a comic book series from Dark Horse Comics, and I wasn't aware of it, never heard of it, so you can be forgiven if you haven't heard of it either, but it did impress me. It had a lot of elements I've seen in a lot of other comics, so I can't really say it's totally original, but as a series, it had all those comic book elements that we come to expect from comic books, because you know there's a tendency in a lot of movies, even in the Marvel movies, there's a tendency to try to make things more realistic. You saw that with the Dark Knight, those Christian Bale Batman movies. They try to make Batman as realistic as possible.
Nomex survival suit for advanced infantry. Kevlar bi-weave, reinforced joints.
Tear resistant.
This sucker will stop a knife.
Bulletproof.
Anything but a straight shot.
Why didn't they put it into production?
Bean counters didn't think a soldier's life was worth 300 grand.
This went totally the other way because you just had so much elements of science fiction, fantasy, a little bit of soap opera, a little bit of mystery. They had all those elements, all those great things that make up the best comic books, had all those elements in this show. And they had some fresh new talent that I hadn't seen before. A couple faces I have seen. The most obvious one is this guy, Robert Sheehan. He was on a show called Misfits, a little British superhero show that came out several years ago that I really enjoyed. And he left famously after the second season. There was a rumor that he left to make to make movies, and I read an interview with him and he denies that, but for whatever reason he left Misfits. He was one of the best characters on Misfits, so I still watched a little bit after that, but I think it ended in the 5th season. It was a good show. Might even want to look that up. Might be on Netflix. I don't know, but it reminded me a little bit of that show. And in fact, I will point out there's a lot of faces in Misfits that you've seen in other shows like Game of Thrones. I won't say who. I'll say who. Ooh, Ramsay. Anyways, it's so interesting to see Robert Sheehan in this show. I don't necessarily think he was a standout actor in this show like he was in Misfits. In fact, that's one of the only problems I had with the show, is that I didn't get the feeling that I was watching A Star Be Born. Even this actor, his name, he's playing Luther Hargreaves. Tom Hooper, I've seen him in Game of Thrones. He didn't really stand out. No one really did anything that was impressive enough for me to just say, wow, I want to know who this actor is and what projects they have in mind for the future. So let me just get into the plot. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself talking about the characters. The plot of this show is basically a number of children, I think it was 43 children, are born across the world at the same time to women who were not pregnant. And as a result of some kind of cosmic event they don't really explain. And a rich billionaire by the name of Reginald Hargreaves, he pretty much buys 7 of these children off these unexpected mothers. You know, he gives them nice settlements to sign over their rights to the children because all these children have powers. And he trains them. Basically, what you have are 7 superhero children raised by this eccentric billionaire. We've seen this plot with the X-Men. So if you're not really keen on the X-Men, you probably won't enjoy this. I will say that Reginald Hargreaves, the professor character in this story, is not as nurturing as Professor X. And so much of the conflict with the superheroes comes out of that element where he was not really there for them as a father. In fact, all of them, all the characters on this show feel a little bit betrayed by their so-called father. So there's that element. But there's also another element that I really can't get into where they're setting up a villain. And as a comic book fan, you may see this coming a mile away because I did. But they set up some things from the get that pretty much tell you that something very bad happened. Basically, there's a character, and his name, they just refer to him as number 5. He goes into the future and he sees the apocalypse. And then he returns in the first episode to warn the others in the group about this apocalypse. And it's supposedly happening in 8 days. So much of the conflict of the show, like I said, it comes out of them and their relationship with their father. It also stems from the fact that the world is going to end in 8 days. But I can't really get more specific than that without ruining the basic plot. But I will say there is a side group called the Commission. They're pretty much, if you watch Flash at all, they're kind of like these time traveling police force. And they're trying to prevent the heroes from preventing the apocalypse for kind of a silly reason. But like I said, I won't spoil too much. Suffice to say, it's a great show. It's fun. It has a lot of action. I recommended you seeing this show, and I'll just leave it at that. But that's pretty much all I got for today. The Umbrella Academy. 2 thumbs up. And I would like to thank my new subscribers and encourage you, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. But that's all I got for today, and I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.